Today I want us to dive into a very sensitive topic. Does God exist? This question has been asked by many and has led many into a state of confusion and doubt. The irony, of the issue is that, just think around about this. The irony of the confusion is that when everything seems well and is going on fine, we end up forgetting to ask this question. But when things begin to go bad, like sickness, death of loved ones, and war, then we begin to question the existence of God. A book written by Gregory, that is Thinking About God, he made mention in it that questioning the existence of God may begin because of one sense of disappointment rather than because of a line of reasoning. So let not your disappointment bring all those doubts about the existence of God, but let's reason and see whether we are on the right path with God or not. In this discussion, we will explore the existence of God based on the principles of nature and laws in our societies, as well as some theories like the Big Bang Theory and some religious explanations that I've been able to put together. To begin with, let's agree on an acceptable definition of God. For us to be able to establish as to whether God exists or not, we need to agree on a foundation before we can put up the structure. If we have a solid foundation, then the structure that we are going to put up is going to be strong. So we need to build a foundation of a definition for God, so that when we know the definition, we have an agreeable definition of God, then we can explore as to whether that God exists or not. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, God refers to the supreme or ultimate reality, such as one being perfect in power, wisdom, and goodness, who is worshipped as creator and ruler of the universe. And according to Britannica dictionary also, they define God as the perfect and all-powerful spirit or being that is worshipped as the one who created and rules the universe. So I brought up two definitions. Theism, they believe in one God, also view God, as the creator and sustainer of the universe, and is unlimited with regard to knowledge, power, extension, and moral perfection. Other philosophers have also come up with the definition of God. A philosopher like Plato and Kant, they also argued about the existence of God. And according to Plato, God is transcendent, the highest and most perfect being, and one who uses eternal forms to fashion a universe that is eternal and uncreated. The list is exhaustive. I did philosophy when undertaking my bachelor. So I have a bachelor's in philosophy. I studied philosophy for 4 years. And we see that a lot of philosophers have this argument about the existence of God. The list is exhaustive. But from the few explained, we can realize that the definition had keywords such as ruler, supreme being, creator, sustainer, wisdom, knowledge, and worshipped. Those are the keywords that we can derive from the definitions that I brought up. In general, for the purpose of this discussion, I define God as a powerful being who is full of wisdom, worthy to be worshipped, and the creator of the universe. When I'm talking about the universe, I mean this earth, everything that is within the earth and beyond. So we include Pluto, Saturn, the sun, the moon, everything. That is when we are referring to the universe. So the checklist for the definition of God, I identified 4 main descriptions that we can use to define God or explain who God is. 1. All-powerful being, full of wisdom, worthy to be worshipped, creator of the universe. So these are the 4 checklists that we are going to base on as the definition of God. So if we ask the question, does God exist? We are asking, does an all-powerful being exist, who at the same time is full of wisdom, knows everything, who is worthy to be worshipped, that we can worship and praise him as a deity, and who is the creator of the universe, that is, he created everything. So if you're talking about God, then we have this 4 checklists in mind. Let's not think too far. Okay, let's not think too far. Let's draw knowledge from our current world while we build this argument together. In simple terms, we can see that the manufacturer or the inventor of a vehicle like Toyota Benz, okay, are creators of those vehicles. Before the invention of Benz, Carl Benz, he's a German engineer. He brainstormed out of his wisdom, okay, the design that he wants to put in place for the Benz, the engine capacity, the fuel type, the efficiency level, and anticipated problems that the car might encounter when wrong parts and fuel are used for the vehicle. The lifespan of the vehicle, including the engine, is also estimated, of which, beyond certain mileage, the engine will become weak and certain parts will deteriorate. So you could realize that the manufacturer took his time to design the vehicle so that when I buy that vehicle or you buy that vehicle, it's perfectly functioning without any problem. The manufacturer, okay, then prepares a manual explaining how the vehicle works, which serves as a guide for you, the buyer, when you buy the vehicle. Because when I buy Benz, I'm not going to call Carl Benz or the worker of Carl Benz to come and show me how the car functions. Because look, Benz is all over the world. Look at the over 8 billion people in this world. If everybody should buy Benz, they are now going to Carl Benz and ask him, how do you turn on the ignition? What type of fuel should I put in? How do I tie this wheel nut? How do I do this? It's not going to be possible. Okay, so he prepares a manual that will help you to be able to navigate your way around the vehicle. Let's bring this to the universe. We have Earth and other planets like the Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, Mercury, as well as birds, animals, and ultimately we humans. Now the question is, how did the universe and the things within it, as well as me and you, the birds, everything, came into existence? Have you asked yourself, how did they come into existence? Just like how the Benz, we know how they came into existence. There's a credit that we give to Benz, they have their trademark on it. What about you? How did we also come into existence? Remember that the earth, the sea, and the atmosphere, okay, they interact with each other to help in their existence and survival. For instance, the trees survive because of man, and man also survives because of the trees. And this can be seen from the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between these two entities. Animals, fish, and man need food and water to survive. And this food is obtained from the earth and the sea. The clouds or the sky also help man to survive the extreme heat of the sun. And this right temperature of the sun helps in giving energy, light, as well as nutrients like vitamin D when the skin is exposed to it. The interaction between man and nature, it's countless. They are countless, okay? These interactions did not just come into existence out of nothing or out of the blue. The earth, man, animals, trees, sea, fish, even the ant, the small ant that walks on the surface of the earth, the ant, and so on, did not just come out of nothing. Let's take the ant for instance. Look at that tiny creature. It's a living organism that has, I could say, has blood. It has everything that it needs for it to exist and live. As tiny as it is, it has cells. The Benz, iPhone, Toyota, microwave, your watches, and jewelry just like the universe did not just appear out of nothing. They all had manufacturers. At times in the advert and in the when you check the product manuals and stuff, you could read words such as carefully crafted, which shows how authentic the item is. Those items, how authentic they are. The manufacturer makes sure to put in all those unique trademarks for you to see how authentic they are, so you could identify the original from the fake ones. In the same manner, the earth, the animals and trees, as well as all natural things, were uniquely designed and created by an inventor. The question here, therefore, be who created the universe and all the natural things within and without the universe, like outside the universe? How did they come into existence? Is there a powerful force behind it or not? Scientifically, okay, the Big Bang Theory was proposed to be the process by which the universe came into existence about 13.8 billion years ago. The theory explains that the universe started from an infinitely hot, dense point that rapidly expanded, cooled, and stretched, forming fundamental particles, okay? Then atoms and stars, galaxies and planets under gravity's influence, with its expansion believed to be continuing till today. And this is driven, according to the Big Bang Theory, this whole process is driven by a mysterious dark energy. And I emphasize, by a mysterious dark energy, according to Big Bang Theory. Then they came up trying to find the origin of man, by which they brought out the human evolution concepts, that is the paleoanthropology. They believe that humans are primitives and a common ancestor with the great apes, that is chimpanzees and gorillas, who lived in Africa approximately 6 to 8 million years ago. The human lineage, okay, is believed to have been diverged from the chimpanzees lineage around 7 million years ago, according to science. Let's assume it is true. If it is true, then this raises questions about the truthfulness of this, the Big Bang Theory, which is trying to disprove God as the creator, okay? Even if the process of the Big Bang Theory, as I said, is true, then who created the dark spots, okay, that initiated the process? And who is that mysterious dark energy that drives the expansion? As well as who created the chimpanzee, the gorillas, from which man is believed to be evolved from, okay? Moving forward, let's exploit about three religion, their concept of the universe, who created the universe, as to that they believe God exists. Interesting. Buddhism, okay, they also deny a creator deity and note that the cycle of rebirth stretches back hundreds of thousands of eons. Hindu, they also often sees the universe as going through endless cycle of creation and destruction with immense time scales. Christianity believes in one eternal God who is the creator of all that there is, or all that exists. The Genesis creation story is held as an account of how God created the entire universe and everything within, according to Christianity. Then we have the Islamic religion that teaches that there is one mighty God. That is, they refer God as Allah, who is infinitely superior to and transcendent from humankind. The Almighty God, according to Islam, is the creator of the universe and everything within. So, the list continues. It's countless. We have numerous religions in the world. There is also the New Age spirituality group. that they promote the development of man's own power of divinity. That is, they believe they are gods themselves. And when I look at the New Age spirituality group, their ideology, I don't see a difference from that of an atheist. Because if an atheist, you believe that there is no God, then you are trying to infer that you are God yourself. These examples are just few of views proposed by some groups about the origin of the universe. Inferring from the Islamic and Christianity view, they recognize that there is an almighty force, like there is a mighty force that spoke the world into existence. Views like the Big Bang theory, they state that the world has existed and will continue to exist. As such, you could infer that they do not affirm that there is a God who created the universe. The dark spot, as proposed by the Big Bang theory, was put in place by God's word, and the Big Bang theory process can be used to explain the mechanism by which God created the universe. Let me explain further. Let me simplify this for you. We are trying to find whether God exists. Let me simplify this further using how babies are formed and born. The process, as observed by science, starts with the fertilization of the egg by the sperm, which develops into a fetus, and the process of baby development continues up to the birth of the child. This process, which is out of the control of man, is clearly explained by the research that science has brought up, and it is made clear to man to understand, the way babies are formed. Let's look at how the rain are formed and it falls. Look at the formation of rain through the process of evaporation and condensation. Science has carefully explained the process which is out of the control of man. That is evaporation of water through the condensation up to precipitation, that is rainfall. We have, I lived in UAE, that is Dubai, for some years. You realize that they have this science concept where they harvest rain. It's a nice ideology because the deserts hardly do rainfall, but their concept has made it possible that they harvest the rain and rain falls at specific times that they predict. But I want you to understand that though they harvest rain, some will argue that we can harvest rain, so we have control. No, they don't have control over it. The amount of water that falls, the destruction that it causes, they have no control over it. The process, just that they know the technology that they can use to harvest rain. Just like how we also have technology that we can use to know the process that a baby goes through before it is born, the first trimester, the second trimester, and all that. But the process is out of control of man. There is a unique force behind that. The same could be said, about the process by which God created the universe, as per the Big Bang theory explanation. In stretching your thoughts too much beyond our society, in the search of God, clouds one's mind beyond reasonable doubt. My friends, do not be misled by false teachings that there is no God. What I can tell you is do the research and analysis for yourself. Do it yourself. Take time to do it. And let your innermost being guide you. Note, just like how every product has a trademark, Puma, Adidas, Gucci, and all that, they have a trademark. The one who created you has a trademark in you also. And that can be found in your innermost being. You have to find time for yourself. Find the me time to examine the truth for yourself. Many will argue contrary to the truth and firmly conclude with all sorts of unwinding, unending winding and winding around that God does not exist. Hence, they cannot even control their growth. Even the hair on their head, they cannot even control the growth of it. As influential as they may be in our societies, I don't want to mention names, I want you to remember that the final decisions lies with you. Yes, it lies with you. Some claim God, that is the all-powerful being, full of wisdom, worthy to be worshipped, and the creator of the universe, has not given them or used enough evidence to prove that he exists. He has not given them enough evidence that he exists. That is what they are saying. That God has not given them enough evidence that he exists. As such, there is no God. I don't know the type of evidence that we need. Again, okay, aside what I'm saying, I don't know the type of evidence we need again. Maybe every morning we want God to walk to our doors. Okay, he should walk to all the doors of the 8.3 billion people in this world and greet every one of them. Good morning. I'm here. I'm God. Maybe that's the evidence they're looking for. It's worth exploring the nature of God. You know, to understand this, it's worth explaining the nature of God. You have to understand the nature of God. But I believe this is a different topic that I have to treat, the nature of God, for you to understand who God is. Okay? For you to understand who God is. So if you understand God's nature, you appreciate everything that is around you as evidence that he exists. So it's worth exploring. What is the nature of God? If you understand God's nature, you definitely appreciate his existence. The universe did not just come into existence by itself. It was carefully designed, just like how Benz is designed. It was carefully designed, just like how ships are carefully designed and built to avoid it from sinking. That is how God created the universe, carefully, with every thought, every calculation, every design for it to exist. The creator of the universe knows exactly why he placed the sun in its position. You know, the sun is positioned about 150 kilometers away from the earth. You know, if you were to drive to the sun, let's say you have a Ferrari and you want to drive to the sun at about, let's say, 97 kilometers an hour, it will take you approximately 170 years. If you are driving non-stop, it will take you 170 years before you can get to the sun. And you know what? Before you get there, I believe you'll be dead by then. Because how old what's our life expectancy? Okay. But if you are driving at a speed of 97 kilometers an hour without stopping, it will take you 170 years for you to reach the sun. And I believe you'll be dead before you get there. If the sun were to be placed closer to the earth, okay, man would burn. If it should be placed closer to the earth, man will burn and everything in it will burn. And if placed further than its current position, it would also have an effect on nature, as explained by science. Science has explained all these things. See the number of fish that we consume in a year. The whole world. See the number of fish that we consume in a year. But every year we get fish. They keep multiplying. They don't they diminish. There is a force behind that. There is a special force behind that. The system God placed into the universe is so unique that if man takes a different approach to distort the order of nature, you know what happens? It bounces back to destroy man. That is why in the world they are trying to put this global warming issues. They are trying to tackle the global warming issues, lessen pollutions and all that. If man tries to distort the order of the universe, it bounces back at us. Just like what happens around us. If you buy a car that uses gas as designed by the manufacturer and you decide that diesel is cheaper, so we want to put diesel in it, what happens? You are distorting the order of the car. And definitely, if you distort the nature of the car, the engine will definitely do what? Break down. And this is another topic that I'll be diving into it. Okay, that is, we are going to explore why there is more suffering in this world, and these are some of the others that man creates to distort the nature, okay, to distort the order of nature. I affirm based on facts. My fans, I affirm based on facts and evidence in my innermost being, okay, that God exists and He created the universe and everything within and outside the earth, including you and me. He has carefully, and I use the word, He has carefully designed and created the universe from His wisdom and might, which is above the imagination of man. See the heart, our heart keeps beating every day, 24 hours. Our heart beating from the time we were born up to where you've reached now. Your heart is beating. You don't charge it. You don't buy batteries to put into it. You don't need solar energy to energize it. There is a force behind it, and it keeps beating. You buy your phone. You cannot use your phone for a week without the battery going down. You have to charge it. But your heart, you never charge your heart. And you tell me your heart just existed out of nothing. It was your mother and your father that created you. So you existed because of them. But mind you, there is a designer who has created this as a cycle of life. And He keeps watching over everything. See, when I was amazed to see how egg, the sperm fertilizes the egg. You know, when they meet, it emits some lights. Before it fertilizes it emits lights, okay? A flash of light. That is a strong force or energy behind the fertilization. And it is so amazing and so unique that it baffles, it's beyond the comprehension of man. How it happens. And you say there is no God. You can't even control your growth. If you can control your growth, if you can control the hair that grows on your head, you can control your age, stop aging, then you can affirm that you are God yourself. That is if you can, but you don't have any control over it. There is a force behind it, and one day we have to give account to that force. So if you deny that God now, strongly affirming He didn't give you enough evidence. Meanwhile, when you went to sleep, He woke you up. You don't need to go and buy oxygen to breathe. He gave it to you freely. Then you say there's no God. I've been watching all the arguments on the internet, YouTube, reading books. I've read numerous books. I've watched numerous documentaries about this issue of there is no God. And God is very patient and very kind. He has given us the free will, so we can choose whatever direction we want to go. But I want you to understand that you have to decide for yourself, just like how they are deciding for themselves. You don't have to listen to me, listen to them, or any other person, but rather listen to yourself. If truly you also agree that there is no God, that is your concept and your belief, which tomorrow you are going to be accountable for your own state. But you cannot refer that A and B said there is no God, so I follow them. There are many religions. When it comes to Christianity is not just one religion. We have the Orthodox, we have the we have Catholic, we have Anglican, Pentecostal. They all have their beliefs. The question is, if you're a Pentecostal, what is your belief? Blaise Pascal once said that it's more rational to believe in God's existence than not. Because if you live your life believing God does not exist and later die and discover that God exists, you risk eternal loss. However, if you live and believe in God's existence and later find out that there is no God, you lose little or nothing. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Comment below so that we can and learn from each other. Remember that God exists and Jesus is the only way.